Welcome to the workshop, everybody. So glad you could be with me here today. Walter here at the workbench. Well, I missed wishing you all a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a Happy Kwanzaa, a Happy Festivus, or just a happy holiday season. Been busy, been doing lots of stuff, and was trying to figure out how to close out the year. So I'm hoping to have 2 videos out, this one today, and I hope to get one more out maybe tomorrow or the next day. This one will be with, which I consider to be the climax of all Native American hardwoods. This was put into this format. I cut these squares April 4th of 2015. And I checked the moisture content, and over the next couple months it kind of stabilized. So that means I got this around Christmas time of 2014 into 15. So it's like 3 years old. It is perhaps, there's only 2 woods in America that I consider the premier woods, and that is this one, and the other one is persimmon. Persimmon is sort of like American ebony, a white ebony. It's hard, it's heavy. This is not as heavy. This is lighter weight, but this is basswood, and this is not. Look at the color difference. Can you guess which wood this is? It's very tight grained. If it's treated properly when you harvest it, it will stay very, very white. It will stay very, very white. It's a tight-grained wood. Very closed grain. See that? See how white that is? That's a pretty hefty shaving there. Enough of the suspense. It is holly. You know, deck the halls with boughs of holly. Fa la 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 la. Yep, holly. Here in the Northeast, we do have holly as an ornamental bush. You need to drop down a couple hundred miles towards Delaware, Virginia, West Virginia, and then head south to find holly that grows to timber size. If you live in those areas, and if you want a contrasting white wood for some sort of detail in a project, you could use this as a turning square for chess pieces. You could use this as a finial on top of a walnut or a cherry box, or you could cut it into very thin strips and use it for inlay detail in a darker colored wood box like cherry, walnut, rosewood, that type of thing. So here comes the informational part of our show. If you live where holly grows, there are some very important facts you need to know. Number 1, it should only be cut down to harvest for wood when the sap is totally down in the ground. All right, so we just experienced Christmas, and prior to that we had the winter solstice. So we are right now in the prime time to harvest holly. How do you do it? Well, you grab your chainsaw and you go out in the woods and you cut a tree down, you take the limbs off. You harvest your wood and save every branch you can down to 1 or 2 inches in diameter. Cut them about 1 foot, 2 feet long. Save them because some of your wood turning friends would love them. The key with holly is you cannot let decay set in. So you cut the tree down, you seal the end grain with logs end sealer, wax. It's a wax emulsion. You can get it at different stores, but it's a green wood end sealer. Then you take it to, as fast as you can, after that, you take it and process it. Now, what do I mean by process it? Forget about splitting it. You want to saw it. Now, in a small shop like mine, I would take this on a bandsaw, take small sections, 12, 14, 16, 18 inches long, and I'd cut it into what I can use. If, however, you've got a big log, 10, 12, 14 inches or larger, that's straight 5, 6, 7 feet long, longer, you get it to your nearest sawmill right away and have them process it. Now, what do you cut it into? Okay, you want to allow at least 1/8 of an inch over the dimension you would normally cut. So if it's a 1-inch board, you would cut 1 1/8. If it's a 2-inch board, you cut it 2 1/4. Because this wood does warp and does twist. It's an active wood. All right. Once those boards are cut, you want to brush off any sawdust, any moisture. You want to get it in under cover where it's dry, up on clean, dry stickers so that air goes all the way around it. That's the key. You want air to go around it when the air temperature is low. It can be freezing, it can be below freezing, it can be slightly above freezing, but once it reaches 50, 60, 70 degrees, it will go a greenish gray. It will just start staining. Okay, it's sort of a fungal staining or an enzyme. I'm not sure. I'm not a chemist or a wood technologist, but you want to get the wood drying as not drying rapidly, but you want to get the surface drying as soon as you possibly can. If you're cutting small pieces like this and you wax the ends, you can stand them up on a shelf. Air goes completely around them. So turning squares or turning blocks, I'm not so sure on blocks because I've never seen wood big enough to do blocks, but turning squares like this, I stood mine up on end. Air went around it. After about a month or two, I laid them down on stickers and I forgot about them now for 3 years. So, you just let them air dry. You can kiln dry them. Here again, you got to watch the temperature, you got to watch the humidity, and so on and so forth. If there's someone in your area that's an expert at drying holly, go to them. If it costs you $1 a board foot, it costs you $1 a board foot. It doesn't matter the cost, because this is probably, I would say, one of the most valuable woods in the United States, other than koa from Hawaii. Now, what I'll probably do with these, if I choose to use these for turning stock, which I may or may not, I will take the corners off and make inlay strips out of them for inlaying on box tops. If I don't use these for turnings, like for a finial or something like that, then what I will do is I will resaw this into thin, even under an 1/8 inch. But I'll probably make something like this into 6 or 8 boards, and then I'll be able to take thinner strips out of that, and I'll get a year's worth of inlay strips for boxes out of one of these. I only have 4 of these right now. It's kind of hard to come by. So harvest now, process now, dry immediately. When I say dry immediately, I mean get it to drying immediately. Don't put it someplace damp, someplace dry, and just forget about it. There's nothing, once you've cut it, once you've sawmilled it, there's nothing you can do to stop the staining if your conditions are too warm and too moist. If you've got good cold temperatures, you're in great shape. All right? So that's the climax of the year for Plain Talk. Holly. How to harvest it and process it and protect it from staining, and you'll lose some. You'll find some knots, you'll find some dark streaks. It'll happen, it's just like any other lumber. But when you get something that's this clean, it just calls to you and says, I would look wonderful as an accent in that next piece you make. You can actually use this to inlay in carved lettering and things like that. There's so many things you can do. So what's up next for Dusty Splinters and Plain Talk in 2018? Will you believe it's 2018? Gosh, I can't believe it personally. It's been a long, long year. We've done a lot of stuff. We've talked about a lot of things. And we covered a lot of topics. So, what I'd like to do in closing for the year is mention that there's a new project coming up for me in 2018 where it brings in another passion of mine. I have been doing wood turning for 47 years. I love wood turning. I love to turn. I love lathe work. And I'm restoring one lathe that's, well, it's actually in the back section of the workshop there. It's an old Conover lathe. I'm restoring that one, getting that one back into service. And I also had a company from Germany contact me and ask me to demonstrate and evaluate a lathe that they're importing into the United States. And it's a Stratos XL. And the XL is appropriate because it weighed like 825 pounds coming off the truck. And you should have seen that, me pulling that over a gravel driveway. That was interesting. The neighbors got a good kick out of that. But that's an amazing lathe, and I'm going to be going all over the lathe completely, and I'm going to be showing some techniques, but most importantly, I'm going to be showing more about the lathe, how it's built, and about wood turning in general. So Plain Talk is going to take a little bit of a step back, maybe 1 or 2 videos a week. And if you have any questions regarding hand planes, their use, sharpening, anything, leave them in the comment section. And then we'll start introducing the wood turning and see how that goes here on the Dusty Splinters channel. If it gets too confusing having the both on here, I can always split off and send the lathe work to another channel. That's not a problem. So stay tuned. It's going to be an interesting 2018. And if If you have any questions about what I talked about here, feel free to ask. Leave them in the comment section, or if you need private information, or if you have a question you don't want to leave it out there for the world to see, send me a private message. That's fine. I check them. But it's been fun. 1 year of Plane Talk under our belt. Would you believe it? 100 and... oh, gobbledygook, I don't know. 130, 150 videos. Lots of information. If you're new to the channel, if this is the first time you see this information, do yourself a favor. Number one, subscribe to the channel. Then go back and watch more of the older information. Older, cheaper, it's less than a year old. Yeah, I did lots of stuff. I did how to tune up an old plane, how to take a rusty plane and restore it, how to sharpen, how to sharpen, how to sharpen, how to sharpen. I think I did how to sharpen 18 times. Okay? Seriously, there's so much information in the archives. All right? Talk about chip breakers and how to set them up. Talk about how flat your plane needs to be. And then so on and so forth. There's lots of information back there. Just search the channel, okay? Now, in regards to today's video, see that? That's the thumbs up button, except it goes the other way. If you found something helpful, useful, or maybe entertaining, give it the old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and when you do, ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, ring that bell so that you get notifications the next time I post a video. So that's about it. I mean, look at this. Holly. Basswood. Holly. Look how white that is. I sure hope that you found this information helpful. I want to thank all of you for stopping by. Some of you over and over again. I want to thank those of you who watch my videos from beginning to end. I know I'm not, you know, Johnny Carson or, excuse me for dating myself, or the Jay Leno's, or the David Letterman's, or the Carson Daily Show, or any of these other shows. I'm not one of those, okay? I'm just a woodworker trying to share information. But more importantly, head out to your shop. Go make some shavings. Walter out.